And in the news this morning, President John Dramani Mahama has pledged economic transformation in the country during his second term in office. According to him, several policies put in place by his administration will bear fruit during the second term and thus urged Ghanaians to keep faith with him and retain him in office in the December 7 polls.
He added that his government was feverishly working to make Ghana the economic powerhouse of West Africa. President Mahama made this known when he joined thousands of Muslims to celebrate Eid al-Adha at the Black Star Square in Accra on Monday.
The Eid al-Adha festival is also known as the Feast of Sacrifice and celebrated annually by Muslims to mark Prophet Abraham's intended sacrifice of his son in fulfillment of a command from Allah. Prominent among activities for the celebration is the symbolic slaughtering of animals and special prayers to Allah. Here in Accra, hundreds of Muslims gathered at the Independence Square and other parts of the capital in the company of some dignitaries and politicians, including the president, to pray. President Mahama, in a speech, delved into projects government has undertaken to improve the livelihoods of Ghanaians. The government, he said, has built new roads and rehabilitated several others across the country to facilitate movement of people and goods from one place to the other.
Allah has blessed our nation, Ghana. We continue to move closer to fully realizing the enormous potential that our country holds in order to achieve the most optimum development that she is capable of. Across all sectors, we are laying a solid foundation for the imminent takeoff of what I call an economic transformation, God willing, in my second term in office. We have successfully bolstered all sectors in readiness for this takeoff. We're expanding our ports, we're building more airports, we're upgrading others to international standards, we're providing more buses to create easy transportation linkages between our towns and villages. We're building new roads, we're rehabilitating several others all over the country.
On agriculture, President Mahama said irrigation projects are being constructed in readiness towards our green agriculture revolution. More communities, he said, are being connected to the national grid to open them up for development.
We're building factories, we're starting irrigation projects in readiness towards our green agricultural revolution. We're connecting more communities to the electricity grid. We're extending clean drinking water to many communities. We're creating more opportunities for our young students who would have had their education truncated at the JHS level if it were not for the 123 community-based senior high schools we're building. We're developing our oil and gas resources to guarantee power and energy supply. We are investing heavily in restoring our railways, and together we have come very far. And I believe that together we will achieve even more. Working together, all Ghanaians, we will make Ghana the regional powerhouse, providing economic and social opportunities for all Ghanaians, irrespective of religion, politics, or ethnicity. I envision Ghana becoming a net exporter of food, power, education, and healthcare to the rest of the ECOWAS sub-region. Through the implementation of this economic transformation and other policy initiatives, we will create for Ghanaians massive employment and economic development opportunities.
President John Mahama at the event also expressed regret over challenges associated with this year's organization of Hajj. He says government has put in place measures to prevent a reoccurrence of such challenges.
Now, if trends in the Volta region do not change soon, the NDC may lose the general elections. That's the word of the Member of Parliament for Ketu North, James Aveji, who says the high level of apathy among the party supporters in the region is the exact same as what prevailed in 2000 when the party lost power.
He explained that prior to the 2000 general elections, there were cries from people of the Volta region that the NDC had done nothing for the region. Therefore, they would vote against the party in the general elections. This development, he said, resulted in the NDC's loss of power, a situation he foresees if nothing is done about the many concerns of the party supporters.
Speaking at the launch of NDC campaign task force for the Ketu North constituency in Joji, Dr. Aveji stressed that history might repeat itself if care is not taken. He therefore cautioned NDC faithful in the region not to slack during the upcoming general elections, but come out in their numbers to vote for the NDC.
In 2000, from 1982.
In 2000, after the NDC ruled for 8 years, we, the people of the Volta region, promised not to vote during the general elections because we claimed the NDC did nothing for us in the region. Truly, turnout was very low in the region on the election day during the first round. It was during the second round that we realized the NDC is likely to lose the election. Though turnout was great during the second round, it was too late for us and the NPP won. It was due to the same apathy that the NPP defeated us in 2000. It is another 8 years of NDC in power, and the same issues of the NDC doing nothing for the Volta region are again cropping up. If we are not careful, history might repeat itself. Therefore, we must all act as ambassadors and educate all NDC faithfuls to go out and vote during the 2016 general elections to guarantee our victory.
That is my message.
Dr. James Aveji also questioned the credibility of the NPP's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as an economist. Following his public lecture on Thursday, he accused Dr. Bawumia of being desperate to become a vice president of Ghana and has therefore sidelined his profession as an economist and rather feeding Ghanaians with lies for political gains. He suggested that politicians should not be allowed to mount such platforms since they might be tempted to misrepresent facts to the advantage of their respective political parties.
Well, because of the recent lecture that he gave, I was highly surprised that somebody who is right for the number 2 position of this country would go so low by putting aside his degree, trying to be different from being academic. You know, he is a doctor in economics, but because of that lecture, I'm tempted to ask whether he is actually a doctor in economics. So I think that if, for me, my thinking is that we should not allow people with too much political color to give these lectures. The lectures are something that are full of political color.
Members of the K2 North Task Force promised to work assiduously towards achieving the constituency's gap of 50,000 votes target.
Now, flag bearer of the opposing New Patriotic Party, Nana Addo, has described as unacceptable the high levels of unemployment in the country, something is promising to change if given the mandate in the upcoming elections. He says the situation is so dire, its worsening impact may be devastating for the country if not immediately addressed.
Speaking at a forum in Accra, Addo, drawing on World Bank data on Ghana, argued that 48% of Ghanaian youth are unemployed. He promised that an MPP-led administration will devise policy programs targeted exclusively at dealing with the unemployment challenge amongst the youth in Ghana.
Today, the greatest challenge confronting our nation is the unprecedented high level of unemployment, particularly amongst the youth. According to the World Bank, about 48% of Ghanaians between the ages of 15 and 24 are unemployed, whilst over 18% of those aged between 25 and 64 years are inactive or unemployed and actively looking for a job. More than 150,000 students leave school at various levels of education every year for the job market in Ghana. The NPP believes that the only sustainable way of addressing this challenge is by expanding the productive base of the Ghanaian economy and enhancing enterprise growth.
Now, the African Court on Human and People's Rights says it is wrong for journalists accused of defamation to be made to serve custodial sentences. The court says this will curtail freedom of expression and will deter journalists from doing their work.
Immediate past president of the African Court on Human and People's Rights, Agostino Ramadani, says journalists who defame others can be criminalized, but punishments other than custodial sentences must be applied.
Immediate past president of the African Court on Human and People's Rights, Agostino Ramadani, was speaking at a seminar underway in Arusha, Tanzania, on strengthening judiciary systems and African courts to protect safety of journalists and end impunity. The seminar is in preparation towards the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists, which would be held worldwide on 2nd November. Justice Ramadani also condemned the practice where perpetrators of crime against journalists go unpunished.
It is imperative that we take deliberate steps to end impunity with a shared vision to support the expedition of commitments made to ensure the effective domestication and implementation of the agreed legal and policy measures. This will include the establishment of protection mechanisms with early warning and rapid response systems for journalists and media workers. In particular, also working with the judiciary to ensure impartial, timely, thorough, independent and effective investigations so that victims have increased access to suitable and effective remedies. Among all actors, the judiciary plays an exceptional role in this novel cause.
Speaking at the same program, head of UNESCO Dar es Salaam office, Zomeira Rodriguez, called for more protection for journalists, with more than 700 journalists killed within the last decade and 103 coming from Africa. Mr. Rodriguez also called on the judiciary to do more to ensure the safety of journalists.
It is imperative that we take deliberate steps to end impunity with a shared vision to support the expedition of commitments made to ensure the effective domestication and implementation of the agreed legal and policy measures. This will include the establishment of protection mechanisms with early warning and rapid response systems for journalists and media workers. In particular, also working with the judiciary to ensure impartial, timely, thorough, independent and effective investigations so that victims have increased access to suitable and effective remedies.
Joy News said Kwame Boateng is one of about 50 top journalists from across the continent attending this program in Arusha, Tanzania.
Now the heads for the news this morning, but remember we have a lot more for you. If you need to get interactive with us, our various social media handles have not changed, they remain the same, and they are
on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. We are Joy News on TV. On WhatsApp, our number is 0560 800,000.
More importantly though, we need to know what you make of the program so far, and indeed what you make of the discussions we'll be having, particularly that particular one that has to do with the reforms in the National Health Insurance Scheme. Now, there are many who even think that it's even collapsed. There's no point in even wasting so much time on it, wasting so much energy on it. But there are quite a number of reforms that we are told are underway to improve upon the scheme. Any thoughts you have, do well to share with us. 0560 800,000, 0560 800,000. That is the WhatsApp number. But time now for us to delve into the many stories that are making rounds on the various front and back pages of the newspapers, as well as the online portals after this.